Hi, this is my homework for Paul McWhorter's Pico W lesson number 30, when he wanted us to connect to the internet from our Pico W and get data and do something interesting with it. Now, this is an approximation of Paul's program, apart from I've got all the connecting to Wi-Fi and everything inside this decode library, which makes everything look a lot simpler, and I only have to write it once. Now he's just getting the data from the API, putting it in a JSON format and printing it out, and I'll just show what it does at the moment. And it does what his did, and you have a dictionary with various keys in: message, number, people, and then you've got in people you've got a list of dictionaries, and it works wonderfully. Now he said you could choose to either go for I in range, len, astronauts, people, to get all of the people who and where they are, or you could go for I in range, astronauts, number, which is here, number 10. Now I wouldn't actually want to use 10 because that could be any number. Someone could just put 39 there and then your program could blow up. But so anyway, this I in range, len, astronauts, people is much better. But I've heard by the people who know, supposedly, that any time that you are using range, len, there's a better way of doing it. So I've just got a couple of things. Now, if you take this, I will move it up out of the comment. That does exactly the same thing. So it means it's a lot simpler to go person in astronauts, people, and then you can just print person name, which is a lot better than having to go astronauts, people, I, name. And we'll just run that to show that it does do exactly the same thing. Yep. There's the bit at the beginning, and it would have been a lot better if I'd actually put space between them, but it's just all 10 people and then all 10 people again. So that makes it look an awful lot easier, doesn't it? Now, I just want to say something else. If I get rid of, so it's only running once, that'll make life easier. Then I'll copy this up, copy and paste. Now this just goes through astronauts and it displays the keys. So we'll have a look at that. Now, as you can see, this tells you there are 3 keys, and when you look at the data that you've got back in astronauts, you realize you're only actually using, in this program, you're only actually using people. So you don't need the message, and you don't need with success, and you don't need the number of people being 10. But this isn't taking up a lot of space, that little bit. But imagine if the data that you got back also included a key of mission, or planets, or something like that. You could be getting back an awful lot of data in there and using up a lot of space on your Pico, and there isn't a lot of storage on this Pico at all. So a better way of doing this, if you're only interested in the people, is to do it like this. Copy that, go like that. I will get rid of that and that. Right, we'll run it again, and as you can see, it's displayed everything from astronauts, then, oh, I left that in, that doesn't matter, and then this is just the people. So as opposed to it being a dictionary with a key and a value and a key and a value, and then the key and all those values, you just have, it starts from there. So that is like the equivalent of just people. And this means that there are two good reasons for doing like that, is that it's a lot more simple to access the values, and also it takes up less space. So I'll just show you what it does. So you just use exactly the same. Instead of going astronauts, you go people, you go to, and you add on the end that you only want it for people, and then you can say for person in people, and you print that, which is the same as up there when I did for person in astronauts people. The equivalent for this is for person in people, and it just it makes it easier, and it makes it take up less room. That's just an aside. Now to get back to the actual homework, I was thinking about what to do for this homework, and I thought, just to make Paul happy, I found something called the cat API, but I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get the data out of it, and everything went horribly wrong. But while I was looking at it, I thought of something to do with dictionaries, and I do like to share my hints, partly because I'll probably have forgotten by this time next week, and Lee likes them as well, so that's good reasons for doing it. So imagine you have got a database, this is just a dictionary, and you want people to vote for their favourite cat breed, which is what they do, the cat API. So you've got this dictionary, it just has the cat breed and then the number of votes. Then I've got a while true loop that says enter your favourite cat breed, and it will then add one vote for the particular cat. Now the first method I will just show you. We'll put the method in there. I will run this and see what happens. Right, enter your favourite cat breed. Bengal, because they're spotty. Right, it says Bengal is already a favourite. Now that is just for information, it isn't part of the programme really. And if you look up here, Bengal has started off with 12 votes, and now it's 13. And if you go Bengal again, it goes 14. Now, if you choose something that isn't in the dictionary, my favourite cat breed is a Moggy. It's now got Moggy with one vote against it. And I will just show you the code, or show me the code, because I will be looking at it later. What it does, it says if the breed that you've entered is already in favourite cats, you say that number of votes is the number of votes for that cat. So if you put in Bengal, it will fetch 12 and votes as 12. Or if it isn't in the dictionary already, it will just say votes as naught, which is how it would be. And then this favourite cats for fav cat equals votes plus 1 means that if the key of Bengal, for example, already existed. You're just adding 1 to 12 and storing it in there. But if you're doing Moggy and it isn't in the dictionary, then it adds the entry of the key being Moggy and 1 in the dictionary. And that is kind of how you would do it initially when you first deal with dictionaries. But the problem is you're actually accessing your dictionary once, twice, 3 times, which is a little inefficient. So there's a more efficient way of doing this, which I will just show you. Second method. I like dictionaries. This is why I'm showing you things about dictionaries. Right, so this time you put it in a try and except, and you get the number of votes for out of that dictionary. So say if you've got Bengal, this will fetch the value for the key of Bengal, which is 12, and put it in votes. And that's all ready for doing whatever you're adding on to it later. But if the key doesn't exist in the dictionary, it will drop down to this except key error. So Moggy isn't in the list, so votes is 0. And then, as before, you're just updating the votes to votes plus 1. And if you already have the key in the dictionary, as in Bengal, it will add 1 to it. And if the key wasn't in the dictionary, it will add a new entry, as in Moggy, with a vote of 1. So that is better, but the trouble with it is it looks rather ungainly, doesn't it? Don't like that. So a preferred way of doing this is this. I will just copy and paste it. Copy. And I don't know if I ran that. Did I run that? Well, before I do that, we'll run it again. Enter your favourite cat breed. Burmese. And look, we have Burmese. And then Siamese. Siamese is now 5, so it works perfectly. Right. Now, third method. Right. This time, you have got your cat breed, and you are getting the entry of favourite in your dictionary of that cat breed. So if you're looking at Siamese, votes will be equal to 4, because if fave cat is Siamese, you get 4. But if it isn't in the dictionary, rather than throwing up an error, there's a default value. So that says, get the number of votes for the cat breed, but if the cat breed isn't in the dictionary, give it votes a default value of 0. Now that's brilliant. That's better. That looks stupid. Yeah, that's better. And then all it does, as before, is favourite cats of that breed equals votes plus 1. So as before, it adds 1 to the vote count if it was already in the dictionary, or it creates a new entry for one that wasn't existing. Enter your favourite cat breed. British Blue. Yeah, that's working wonderfully. The only difference here is it isn't saying that was already a favourite or adding to the list, but that was only for information anyway, running it. You wouldn't have it in a normal program. So tabby, yep, everything's working wonderfully. Right, that was just an aside for me and Lee. Now we'll get on to the actual program. I'm doing, as I said before, I wanted to do it with the cat API, which does also have another site that's called the dog API, but I could not get it to work. And so I thought, oh, I'll be boring, I'll do it with weather. I tried it with COVID data, but there's just so much COVID around that there was too much COVID data, and it blew up, it blew the limitations of the Pico. So I thought, right, weather. So I found this api.openweathermap.org, and it will give you all kinds of data when you go into it. So I've just got a while loop, and it asks you what city you're interested in and where it is, and then get the data, and the COD is 200 if everything's okay. Otherwise you just go back and say try again with another city and a country code. And I've just got that in. I could print all the details. Oh, maybe for the first time through I will just run it with the details. And as before, that is the API key that I didn't want to put in the program, so I'm just importing it, and that is the decode, is just to get connected to the internet and everything. Oh, and you should always, as a rule of thumb, disconnect before you run things, in case your connection doesn't work. Right, so we will run this. And which city? We will go London and GB. Right. First of all, it gives you all the stuff that comes from back from the API. So this is a dictionary, so it's a time zone and sys, and it's easier if you just look down here. They are all the keys in that dictionary. Time zone, sys, base, main, visibility, and you can look at it, and this is a good way of finding out that if you want to find the humidity, then it's got to be within, if you look at time, sys, where does sys, base stations, right, main. So if you look at main, and then within main you've got temp min, pressure, feels like, whatever. So you know that you've got to be accessing, to get the temperature you want main, and then you want to get temp, which is all fine. You don't want to display that again. It's only the first time when you're running it to see what's happening. And so then we've got all the keys, and it tells you the weather in London, GB, is few clouds with a temperature of 23.4 centigrade, which is 74.1 Fahrenheit, and the humidity level is 72%, and there are winds of 17.3. I had to do a little bit of fiddling about with this, because on this database the temperatures are held in Kelvin, so I had to convert them to centigrade and Fahrenheit, and also the winds were in meters per second. So I'll get out of that. That's what it ought to be doing now. I will, to stop it looking confusing, I'll get rid of that and I'll get rid of that. So all it does is it comes in, it's got all the lovely data in weather, and temp C you just take off 273 and then I've rounded it. Temp F, you convert the centigrade to Fahrenheit, and then the wind in MPH is, you just multiply by that and it works wonderfully. And all we have apart from that is the print statements. So we will run it again and it will be a lot clearer. Which city? Paris. Country code FR. The weather in Paris, France is clear sky with a temperature of 29.5 C, 85.1 Fahrenheit. The humidity level is 63 and there are winds of 9.2 miles per hour. So then if we go Paris, US, I think is it Paris, Texas? I can't remember. It's Paris somewhere in America, and that's different, but it's still got clear sky, but different data. Humidity looks a bit nasty there. And then if we try London in Australia, invalid input, try again. So it just comes down and it goes back up to the top of the loop. What else can I do? It will work with Australia. So if I go Perth, Australia, clear skies. Everywhere's clear skies. Let's try Anchorage. That's bound to be horrible. Or maybe not. Ah, a few clouds. And we'll finally look at Russia, at Moscow in Russia. Doesn't seem to be any rain anywhere. Right, so that's my program. I decided to just do it so it's printing out and displaying in the shell because it's much easier to show on a video. You can't get much information on the little OLED, and the camera doesn't show it very well anyway. So stop that and stop the video.